This is
Oh,
all.
it's-
Oh, here's one.
Oh,
That's a good idea, yeah, there are some.
Thank
Sure,
you.
is that mine now?
Thank you, because I was like thinking, I'm not gonna make it through this. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so at some point, I want to take some questions, kind of about anything that you guys are interested in. But I have just a little, I guess, request or an item that I really want to impress upon everyone that is important. It is, and it's funny that Commissioner Frazier here, because I will be preaching to the choir. This, I'm gonna call it, is kind of the way I summarized it, it's called advanced Knox for dummies. And it's because it is so hard to understand, it has to be dummied down, it had to be dummied down for me, because I didn't understand. So, advanced Knox is basically, it's kind of the name of the comprehensive plan project process, okay? So if you're trying to visualize it, because it's better for me to visualize things, think of it as a binder. So it's just this big binder. And inside this binder are 3 different sections. One of them was the growth policy plan. Now, the growth policy plan was enacted back in March of '24. And it basically just kind of is a definition, or it defines the areas where we want rural, where we want growth, where we have urban growth. So if I'm visualizing it, I visualize like my first binder section, and behind it would be like a very basic type of map, where you're only gonna have a few designated, defined areas, definitions there. So then in the second section is the comprehensive land use and transportation plan. That was adopted back in April of 2024. All of this was before that I was in office. And basically, it kind of explains the consideration of parks, transportation, future area studies. It has the future land use map with place types. It defines the place types. And there's a lot more place types. Those are like, within rural, there would be like rural agricultural, rural conservation, rural living, rural crossroads, commercial. So it's a lot more defined. In there, it talks about how each of those place types relate to our current zoning law. And it kind of says, okay, this one's applicable here, and it's somewhat applicable here. So I'm giving you all this kind of brief mumbled history, because the third section of the binder is the UDO. The UDO is the Unified Development Ordinance. Now this is going to be development ordinance. So right now in there are our old zoning laws, our old zoning ordinances. Our current zoning ordinances are out of date. Our current zoning ordinances have so many flaws in them. I have an example. Like in the OB zone, which is office, medical, and related, it allows anything in the RV zone. Well, in the RV zone, as a use under review, is 12 to 24 unit apartments, per acre apartments.
How many?
12 to 24.
12 to 24.
So, what could happen, you could have this piece of property next door, somebody comes in, you're talking to this nice clock. He's gonna put in an office, you're like, oh, that sounds like a nice use. He's gonna be going home at 5, it's gonna be quiet evening when I'm home with the kids. And so you don't buy it. But then, once he gets that zoning, something could happen to him, you could end up with an apartment building next door to you. And the reason that I'm kind of giving you guys all of this information is because we are going to be having some community input on this UDO. It is utmost time. I'm here to beg everyone to be involved in this. Because if we don't get in and understand the definitions and how those relate, then we could end up with the same old that we've got now. And the one thing that I hear from, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say, I wish we had more traffic. I wish we had more building. So we need to get involved. And so that is kind of, I guess, before I open it up, because I basically I wanted to give you guys a chance to ask me questions, is I wanted to that's my little sermon, I guess, for the evening, is how important this is and how important community involvement is. Tell your friends, if you are concerned about development, now is your opportunity. Once this comes and goes, it's, it's gonna be written for a long time, and we're gonna kind of be stuck with it. So please get out there, please get involved, please attend the meetings, please speak your voice, let your voice be heard. So that is my pitch to you guys. So now I'm gonna, and I will tell you, zonings, when I first got into office, we had probably 40 to 50 zonings per month, rezonings. And it has dropped off dramatically. I would say it's averaging 10 now. Yes. Yeah, it's averaging about 10. I mean, sometimes we have 12, sometimes we have 7. So the last few months, it's averaged about 10. And so a lot of people, I think, are going to let up off the gas. I think people are going to be like, well, I don't see all these rezonings going on. I don't see all this stuff happening that has been happening in the past. Maybe we don't have to worry about it. This is temporary. It's just temporary that things have slowed down because of the fact of the interest rates. And what slows down will speed back up again. So just because things have slowed down a little bit on the rezoning is not a sign that we don't have to worry about the UDO. So that has been what I have been out preaching to everybody. So I will also just briefly, some things that have, I'm just going to kind of give you a highlight of these. So the other items that we have kind of dealt with recently that I think it has kind of got attention has been the juvenile detention center. That's going to be turned over to the sheriff at the end of the year. We did vote on that. I know it's gotten a lot of press and a lot of publicity. And it is an important item, but I think it's got a lot more publicity, and got a lot of people more concerned really than, because of the press, than is needed. I think we've got a pretty good hold on it. I will tell you some things that I learned during the on-site tour. During the on-site tour, the day that we were there touring the facility, there were only 14 people who were in the detention center. Now this detention center holds 120 people.
Wow.
It was way overbuilt. I think the gentleman told us that was kind of taking us on the tour that the maximum he ever remembered being there was in the 40s. So this facility is probably about 3 times bigger than it needs to be. So when you hear this 120 person detention center is in trouble, it's not a capacity. And I think there's a misconception about exactly what the detention center is used for. It is okay, it's where you're held before your crime. If you are convicted of a crime, you're not gonna spend a long term there. So this is not a place where minors are being held long term. When we were there and so before, we found out that the average stay is a lot less than 30 days. So, these minors are not there for a really long term. I think I said the day that we were there was only 14, I may have already said that. The other two counts that we were given, a couple of times that I would ask for counsel, like when I was talking with some of the mayor's office. One time it was around 30, and the other time it's around 20-ish, somewhere in there. So never any big counts. They were of the 14 that were there was one that was accused of murder, one of attempted murder, and one of rape. So these are not light crimes that these minors are in here for. So I just wanted to let you know that we do have, and actually Commissioner Frazier was there during that tour, and actually so was Elaine Davis. So like I said, I think we have a good handle on that. I just think it's gotten a lot more press and a lot more publicity, which kind of seems to, I think anytime the press is involved, it kind of gets blown bigger than it is. I mean, we're talking, 14 persons that were there. And of course, they're very important persons. But like I said, the average stay is less than 30 days. So this is nothing that's impacting anybody's life eternally or permanently. And there were a couple of items on here that I was going to talk about. One was the wheel tax. But because Commissioner Frazier is in the room, I don't think I can.
Well, I'm considered media, so actually you could.
Well, I don't, because it wasn't.
It wasn't noticed, but I'm here.
It wasn't noticed. So.
But there is an issue of sunshine going on in Farragut, so I understand.
I will tell you, I'm a little miserable follower, so
I'm happy to
basically.
step outside.
No.
If anyone has questions, I'm happy to step outside.
It's fine. I mean, let me, I think I could,
You can explain it, you can't tell how you're gonna vote on it.
there you go.
You cannot deliberate, the two of you cannot deliberate to a conclusion.
Okay. See, I'm a little miserable follower.
I should have been a lawyer, but
Well, I'm a CPA, so I've got bigger issues
Thanks.
right than the law.
Thank you,
The
Oscar.
IRS will take everything.
Oscar don't want the
Not just your
competition.
freedom, but your money too.
Well, you've been a prosecutor, I'll see it.
So basically, some of my points here I'm gonna skip. From what I know about it, it is going to take effect next July, this potential reduction in wheel tax. I will tell you that, I have requested a learning session about it prior to the vote.
Good.
And it's my hope that we are allowed to have a learning session prior to the vote. Because I do have a lot of questions in regards to it. As you guys probably know, I campaigned and on trying to reduce spending, and I have made motions to reduce spending on the budget, and every time I've done that, I've been told we have no money that we don't need. So now I'm wondering, if we have no money that we can cut, then how can we cut it? If we have no expenses we can cut, how can we cut revenue? I'm a CPA, but I don't think you have to be a CPA to know that that math problem doesn't work. So I've got lots of questions there. Huh?
Whoever hears it.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Everybody here also knows that I also prefer reducing tax. I am a got spending, cut taxes, girl, so, anyway, so, can't really talk about a lot of these things that are on my list, so, do you guys have any questions about things we have
Yeah, I'll see.
previously voted on? No? Well, like I said, zoning has been reduced significantly. The big thing, and again, I think I said this before, I think this is probably one of the most important items is that UDO guys. And I do, I plead with people to get out and be involved in that because the last time we went through this whole process, we lived with it for 25 years. You know, and this is something that's gonna be around for a long time, and if we don't get it right, with the speed that everything is developing out there, we're not gonna get a second chance. So, I just ask you guys to please be involved in that.
Angela,
Yes,
where can people go to review it, to look at it, to learn more about it?
There will actually be some community meetings, and
Is it advancedknox.org/. You can sign up to be notified, you can find out what the locations are, you are on all of the stakeholder committees, the stakeholder committee, the citizen advisory committee, that all lives on advancedknox.org/.
And I will tell you that when I am alerted to them, I plan on also calling and letting the American Press know. So I'm gonna do what I can. I have a list of subdivisions that have asked me to make them aware. I'm taking, if you want to give me your business card with your name and number, I will make sure you get an email. Because it's really important.
I just have a really basic question. I used to work at the Farragut Press and went to Farragut Municipal Planning meetings, and they had a zoning of so many residences per acre.
Yeah.
That has changed, right?
No, right now, Knox County, we have, it's called PR, or plain residential, PR zoning. And basically, when you get the PR zoning, you're basically getting a certain number of units per acre. It could be 4. It can be whatever number the commission votes on. But, it doesn't designate how those units are fulfilled. In other words, you can have a 10-acre piece of property, and you can get 10 units per acre. Well, you can actually cluster those things on like 4 acres so that the density is just unbelievable. So you can have this piece of property that basically is not very nice. You got like maybe 4 level acres and the rest of it's hill, and you can still end up with this dense, almost, apartment-looking facility on it. And that's one of the big problems, I think, with our current zoning ordinances, is that we don't have, within that PR zone, we don't have defined minimum lot sizes.
So, over the last few years, it looks to me like a lot of apartments have been put in near neighborhoods.
Yes.
Is that a change?
Is that going to change?
Is that a change? Did Knox County agree to something that allowed those apartments to go in?
I think it's, the zoning ordinances have not changed in years and years and years. What has changed is the demand for what the developers that are currently developing perceive as property. The PR zoning has been in existence for years. Where I live, it's it was built in 2020, I think, and it kind of makes, in whether it's single family or multifamily, because even with a tax housing, you can still have single family because it's owned by, different individuals, maybe it's, condos or whatever. I think that will make it where the development that is going on is more, blends in better with what currently exists. You can have more say on exactly what's going there, because once someone gets a PR zoning of 10 units an acre, and it leaves commission, we have no further say on that. It's the zoning commission that approves the plan, so they can approve that all of those units on those 4 acres.
So just one more question.
Yes.
We went up to Greene County this past weekend just for fun. And it's like being out in the country. It's a wonderland of farms and fields. It's beautiful. And so nobody seems to be building. I guess we maybe didn't see it, but not like here. And so is there ever a way to say we're at our max in Knox County?
We do have areas like that in different parts of Knox County.
Yeah, we do still have some rural areas. I don't, and this is my personal opinion. I don't think we have enough rural areas in Knox County. In total transparency, I do work for a company that we are geared toward agriculture and farming and rural living. And, so I do have a heart for the farms. But, without a prime example of why it's important to have local farms is because if we were to have another COVID, and let's say things got really bad and transportation shut down and things were really, like crazy, you're gonna need local farms to feed all the people around because maybe we can't ship it. And so I think it's short-sighted not to be able to have self-preservation in any one area. But again, that's not personal. So I always make sure to say that because I don't want to get in trouble and say that's the commission's opinion.
Cool.
So Kim, did I draw a good picture of advanced Nostradamus?
Yes, we did.
I really did. I was like, how do you explain this? And I was like, I couldn't explain it, so I had to go make this right where even CPA can understand it.
It is a complicated thing. We recognize that, we hope things.
Well, the way I feel about it, I always have to have something to say about it. I think one reason a lot of people move to this area is because of its beauty, and it has everything that we need. And it is very sad to see the beauty of our homeland being destroyed, taken away from us. There can surely be some way to avoid these ugly, is the best word I can come up with, apartments being stuck everywhere where there's a beautiful open area that they said, well, it's needed for housing. There's bound to be a better way than taking away that land, that property. I'm always for agriculture and farming. My daddy he grew up on a farm. He taught agriculture. He loved the farmers. He was a national president of the Rural Town Club, if you all agree with that, and that are
it is not apartment housing. I mean, that is not what the Republican Party is based on. It is home ownership. And building these apartments is not helping with home ownership affordability. It's not. If we're wanting to make home ownership more affordable, we'd be building homes that people wanted on nice lots that are large enough for their children to actually get out and soccer games. And to have the American dream where they grill out, have their Sunday school class over, and have the American dream. So, again, please be involved in the
Follow the money. Follow the money.
Huh?
You have to follow the money.
Well, I mean, and again.
No one's putting those apartments there until somebody sold them the land.
Right.
So that's, you're talking about the farmers' children selling the land. And then we got, but we also need apartments. My 2 kids couldn't afford a house.
Right.
And that's,
Cost of the mortgage though.
that's.
What,
apartments
an
over
old,
here.
an old time.
Well, even a 1,100 square foot house today, I mean, it's still pretty close to what those apartments are.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Or a 900 square foot.
But you have to have down
Yeah,
payment.
you can
You
start
have
getting
to have
one.
Nashville,
Well, there's
Tennessee.
some.
And we need the young
And they're paying
people
the
to backfill a lot of jobs. A lot of the businesses don't have enough people to man their stores and do all this stuff. So it's a very dicey thing.
It is. But if we were taking up the land to build all the apartments, that land could have been used to build
Which
houses.
puts more
that
pressure on
might
your point.
children be able to afford the houses. So.
Yeah, and so the kids of these farmers have the right to sell their property, but that's where zoning laws come in.
Right.
Who can they sell it to? They can still sell it, but we just have to change the zoning. And then how we develop that property. You gotta leave some of this old growth. We can't just clear cut everything, which is kind of what's going on. So there's ways to satisfy the needs and preserve our country around here. So I'm talking
Or
about
with good home.
And one thing we're looking at in this video is how to incentivize certain types of developments. And what that might look like, that would be requested, consultant. And then to your point, what I suggested as well, is if someone wants.
Can you speak up, please?
If someone wants to do higher density, then we will make the requirements and standards much, much higher as well. So, Angela's correct, the UDO is going to, this is where we get into the weeds. Before it was very big picture, visionary, this is a guideline for growth and development and transportation planning. What the UDO will do, will look at all of our subdivision regs, our stormwater management, waste management, fire code, zoning ordinances, and we will create one document so that we are not looking at developments parcel by parcel, but we are also looking at the impact of that project on the surrounding areas. And we've done some little things along the way, like one thing that I passed was when you have commercial going in next to residential, you really don't want to drive through on the end of that building, light, noise. So those are some things, little things that we've worked on along the way. The expectations, the building and design standards will be elevated, and the expectations will be higher. The first act that I did when I came on commission was work with engineering to pass a resolution giving commissioners the authority to place zoning conditions on rezoning requests. Meaning we could state if we wanted a 50-foot non-disturbance vegetated buffer, we could ask for a turn lane, we could ask for a traffic impact study. So those things were not being done prior to me coming into condition on a regular basis. And when they were being done, we had no authority, the county had no authority to codify those requests. So by passing that resolution, we now codify those conditions and the county can enforce them. Whereas before, it was kind of this back and forth tug and push with the applicant and the developer. And at the podium, they may have said, yes, I'll put in the turn lane, I'll do a traffic study. And then 6 months later into it, the county's like, you need the traffic study, they said, I don't have an MOU, I don't have to do it. So now it's codified, now we do have those memorandum of understandings with the applicant, when we do place conditions on the zonings, and I do think that's helped a lot, so I kind of tell people, it'll be similar to that, but on steroids. We'll really kind of get very granular and in the weeds on, parcel sizes and setbacks and allowed uses and all kinds of good stuff. So we do really need you all to participate. If you can't do it in person, you will be able to do it online. There will be numerous opportunities for you to submit comments. And one thing that we're doing different this go around that it didn't really work as well, the comp plan, and so we learned from that. We're going to have a round of public information gathering, and then we are gonna actually present the draft, you go back to the public to have another round of public input and gain more information. So, as Angela said, just be on the lookout for those things. You can sign up for email notifications, you have the website. It really is important. I think this is one of the most important things that we will do as a county. And, I'm really excited about it. Angela knows this has been a passion of mine that I had as a citizen. And so being a part of creating and updating a comprehensive energy transportation plan as well as our zoning ordinances, it's exciting for me, and I think Angela said, I want to thank you all for the opportunity to be with all of that.
Thank you.
So, I have one more comment. I think what I hear a lot about around here is the frustration that nobody knows when meetings are. So, if we could get the word out that there's gonna be an information meeting or a community meeting or whatever, months ahead of time, not a week ahead of time, not fair press for 2 weeks, we've got to have a better way of getting that communication out. And I don't know what the answer is, but time, so that we can speak about things word of mouth, hear about that meeting. And if it's only 2 weeks or even 3 weeks, that's just not enough for someone to hear and then pass it to their friend and then pass it to the next friend. So I would submit that we need ample time for each one of these meetings.
Okay, so there are 2 meetings, September 23rd and September 25th. We will have more details about location and times as we get those.
What time does it start?
I don't have the time.
Yeah, we don't have a location anymore.
And these are the information meetings, is that what this is?
This is where we will gather information from you all. You will be presented kind of a preliminary big picture. This is what the UPO is. Here's what we'd like to know from you. There will be stations that you can participate in. Again, you can go online and offer comments, participate that way. And then we're hoping that the timeline is, we have the open house events coming September 23rd, 25th. And then the UDO drafting begins at the end of September. And then by May 26th, the technical committee meetings and the public open house events will happen again in May. And then we will vote on it hopefully in July. That's that.
And so I have one other question. When you go to these county commission meetings, if you're not on the docket, you don't get to speak. So how will these work so that the public can engage and speak and ask questions?
There will actually be, if they're set up the way they were set up for the, road policy plan, like, when they have those meetings, they actually have stations, and they actually have, like, they'll have a map or pins or something that says, this is important to me, and you put your pin on, like, there'll be a list, and you put your pin on the, sheet of paper that explains what you think is most. That's the way they did it at the other meetings. I mean, I don't know how exactly they'll set it up, but there will be an opportunity for input, and when they do the road policy plan, they also they gave out cards that you could write comments on, because I think there was like 500 something comments, if I remember right.
There were lots, I read them all.
Yeah, so, I was one of those.
up in the morning at sunrise, go to bed at sunset, do it again the next 6 days. Many people don't want to live that way. And to say that, as some people say, preserve these farms, family farms. Well, I bought my house in '72, and in a block down about the best town neighborhood, God ran about Kirby. There were probably 4 other farms, only one of which was being operated. That last farm, the son carved out a corner of it and sold the rest. He doesn't want to be a farmer.
And I'm not saying you have to be a farmer. And there have been a lot of innovations, I will tell you. There's a lot of equipment out there that practically does a lot of the work for you now.
Yeah.
But, so farming is, and they actually have air conditioned, cabs now, most of the equipment, but, so and it's very admirable work that I greatly admire. But a farmer is much more efficient than used to, and he can produce a lot more as long as he's got the land to grow it on, or to raise the cattle on.
And when you look at the cost of this latest thing equipment, you realize you're gonna have to have 100 acres or more to make it pay for itself.
Well, not, like, for instance, I sit on the Ag Extension Committee, I also work with Farm Bureau, and also the Cattlemen's Association. And every year at some of our meetings, I will ask, how many of you have received an offer on your land in the last week, or the last 6 months? And they will all raise their hand. The last month, they all raise their hand. The last week, they all raise their hand. And they are rude. People who are calling and asking for you to selling your land, they are rude. And they'll say, please don't call back. And they say, you can't stop me and don't call back. It's really, really, so, and that's one thing, working with those committees and groups. You have a group that will tell tax that offers them a little bit of an incentive to farm or keep it ag, but really in the state of Tennessee, the only thing I was really hoping our government would do is incentivize farming. So, because I tell everyone, every meal starts with a farm.
We don't need it if there's not farms.
I tell people, I had a conflict this people dream of and very unique experience. And they just planted farm stuff for fun. We had crops, we had trees, we had cattle, we had chickens. And farmers are really struggling right now, so hopefully we can figure that out a little bit. But
Is Adam still got his farm?
he does.
That's why he went on the board, he said.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Yeah, we were just counting.
So, I know we're running short on time, so anyway, if everyone will get involved in the UDO, I have no, qualms or anything that everybody has a right to sell their land. It's just, do your rights with your property stop when they start interfering with your next door neighbor. And so, you have a right to do what you want with your property, as long as it don't interfere with your next door neighbor, is the way I see it. So, anyway, hopefully,